The hum of quiet conversation and the soft clink of silverware filled the modest interior of Riverside Cafe, a tucked-away spot in the heart of Oakstead, a town that liked to think of itself as progressive, even when it often forgot what that word meant. The warmth of fresh-brewed coffee drifted through the air, mixing with the subtle scent of baked bread and maple syrup. It was a peaceful Thursday morning, until it wasn't. At a small corner table, an elderly black woman sat quietly, sipping from a simple ceramic mug. Her name was Evelyn Hart, and though her presence was unobtrusive, there was a quiet strength about her, something unshakable in her poise. She wore a dark blue jacket, its lapel adorned with a polished military service pin. Her hair, a crown of silver and grace, was swept up into a neat bun. On the table sat a framed photograph and her cell phone, carefully placed next to a napkin folded with habitual precision. She wasn't there for the food. Not really. Evelyn came for the ritual. Once a month, like clockwork, she met her daughter here for lunch. They'd been doing it for years, ever since Catherine had taken her post as chief of police in the neighboring district. It was their sacred time, untouched by headlines, duty calls, or distractions. But that morning, something shifted the air. The door opened. A gust of cold wind pushed in behind officers Darren Bradford and Cole Matthews as they stepped inside. Both white, both in their mid-30s, both with the unmistakable walk of men who carried their badges like shields and their assumptions like weapons. The cafe was comfortably full, but it was Evelyn who drew their attention. They didn't know her name, but they saw her. A black woman sitting alone at a four-person table in a predominantly white neighborhood. That was enough. Officer Bradford led the charge. He didn't greet her. "This table's for four," he said, arms crossed. "Don't you think that's a bit much for someone sitting alone?" Evelyn looked up slowly, her gaze calm but piercing. "I'm waiting for my daughter," she replied evenly. "We meet here once a month. I reserved this table in advance." Matthews laughed, a short, mocking sound. "Lady, this place doesn't take reservations. Don't try to play games." His eyes scanned the room, looking for validation. But the cafe had gone still. Patrons averted their eyes. Some looked down into their coffee cups. A few glanced over, unsure whether to step in or disappear into the scenery. "I assure you," Evelyn said, her voice like silk laced with steel, "I have an arrangement with the manager." It was then that Bradford's eyes landed on the pin. A small bronze star, subtle, dignified, unmistakable to anyone who knew what it meant. "So you're a vet, huh?" Bradford sneered. "Let's see some ID." Without a word, Evelyn reached into her purse and pulled out a neatly laminated Veterans Affairs identification card. She slid it across the table. Bradford picked it up, squinted at it, then tossed it back. "Fake," he said. "You can buy crap like that online." Still, Evelyn's expression didn't shift. But her heart was beating faster now, not from fear, but from the old familiar heat that rose whenever ignorance cloaked itself in authority. "Really?" Matthews said, stepping closer. "Lady, people like you? Back in my granddad's day, you didn't serve. You cleaned up after the ones who did." The insult floated in the air like a slap, raw and deliberate. Evelyn didn't flinch. Her posture remained upright, forged from decades of standing through storms bigger than this. She met his eyes, the picture of composure. "If you'd like to verify my service, I can provide documentation," she said. "Oh, I bet you can," Bradford said, leaning over the table now. "Name your unit. Your commanding officer. Let's hear the story." Evelyn took a breath. Her memory was sharp, and the past came back with a flash of fire and sand. 12th Medical Combat Division. Advanced Trauma Unit. Under Colonel James Harrington. I served 3 tours, 85, 88, and 93. Matthew scoffed. "Lady, anybody can Google that." From across the cafe, a man in a flannel shirt stood up. "Officers, with all due respect, I think you're—" "Sit down," Matthews barked. "This is an active investigation. Interfering could get you arrested." The man slowly lowered back into his chair, eyes apologizing. "Investigation into what, exactly?" Evelyn asked, her voice ice clear. Bradford smirked. "We've had reports of people using fake military credentials to get discounts. You fit the profile." At that moment, Marina, the young cafe manager, barely 25 but sturdy in spirit, approached cautiously. "Officers, Miss Hart is a regular here," she said. "We've never had any," Bradford interrupted. "Have you verified her status?" Marina hesitated. "Not directly. But she's always." "Then please return to your work," he snapped. Marina stepped back, biting her lip. Her hands trembling. Evelyn's hand slowly moved beneath the table, brushing against a scar hidden by her sleeve. A long, jagged line of memory from when her medical unit was ambushed in Kandahar. She had carried 2 men to safety that day. One made it, one didn't. And she still remembered the way the dirt had mixed with blood. "I can show you further documentation," she said again, calm but steady. Bradford slammed his palm on the table, rattling the coffee cup. "I've seen enough," he snapped. "You're coming with us." The force of his hand caused the photograph to slide slightly. Evelyn's eyes didn't waver, but her soul winced. She hadn't come for this. She'd come for peace. Matthews took it further. He grabbed her handbag without permission and began rifling through it. "You can't do that," Evelyn said firmly. "That's illegal. You need probable cause." Matthews grinned. "Falsifying military ID is a federal offense. That gives us all the cause we need." In the corner of the cafe, a teenage girl lifted her phone and started recording. Bradford noticed. "Turn that off," he barked. "You can't record officers in action." "Yes, I can," she replied coolly. "It's my constitutional right." Bradford spun toward her, anger in his step, but she didn't move. Something shifted then. The patrons who had stayed silent now started whispering. One or two reached for their own phones. Returning to Evelyn's table, Bradford grabbed her arm. "Get up. Now. I'm waiting for my daughter," Evelyn said, her voice like stone. "She'll be here any minute." "She can visit you at the station," Matthews sneered. "I'm sure she's used to places like that." It was a line too far. Evelyn stood, slowly, deliberately. She was taller than they expected. And in that moment, something radiated from her. A gravity, a presence not born of age, but of command. The kind of presence that once held bleeding soldiers together in the back of a helicopter while the rotor blades spit fire above enemy lines. "I'll come," she said. "But first, I need to take a call." Bradford scoffed. "Sure. You want to call your lawyer?" "You people always." Her phone buzzed out on the screen. "Catherine Wright." Bradford paused. "Who's that?" he asked. "My daughter," Evelyn said. "May I answer?" A charged hush blanketed the cafe. Bradford and Matthews exchanged glances. Matthews released her arm like it was hot coal. Evelyn picked up the phone with unhurried elegance. "Hi, sweetheart," she said, her voice tender. "Yes, I'm here. Don't worry. Everything's fine. Actually, I think you should come inside now. There are 2 officers here who would love to verify my military service." She ended the call and looked at them. "She's parking." Matthews, trying to regain control, grabbed the photo frame and turned it over. His face went pale. In the image, a tall black woman in a formal navy blue police uniform stood proudly beside Evelyn, both smiling before a wall of flags. "That doesn't prove anything," Bradford muttered. "Photos can be faked." The door to the cafe opened. Every head turned. Catherine Wright entered, commanding, composed, dressed in a tailored suit and heels that clicked with authority. She carried a black leather briefcase and the kind of energy that didn't ask for attention. It demanded it. "Mama," she said, moving forward and kissing Evelyn gently on the cheek. Then she turned to the officers. "Officers Bradford and Matthews. Is that correct?" Neither answered. "I'd like to know," she said slowly, "why you were harassing my mother." Bradford stammered. "Ma'am, we were just trying to what?" Catherine cut in, voice sharp as a razor. "Verify the military status of a Bronze Star recipient? Or humiliate a decorated lieutenant colonel in front of a cafe full of people?" There was no mistaking her tone. She wasn't here for theatrics. She was here for justice. "I need to make a call," she said, pulling her own phone. She dialed. "Secretary Johnson? This is Chief Catherine Wright. I need you to clarify something. It's about my mother." She waited, then handed the phone to Bradford, on speaker. The voice of the Secretary of Veterans Affairs filled the cafe. "Let me be clear. Lieutenant Colonel Evelyn Hart is a verified and honored veteran. Her service is recorded at the Pentagon. She is a national hero. Any challenge to her credentials is not just a mistake. It is an insult to the very ideals this country claims to uphold. Bradford looked like the ground had vanished beneath his feet. Marina reappeared with her phone. "Chief, there's something you should see." She showed the recording. From beginning to end. Catherine's face hardened with each frame. "Badges and weapons," she said. Neither officer moved. Now, with hands like jelly, they obeyed. Catherine turned to her personal officers waiting near the door. "Escort them to the station. I want a full review of every complaint filed against them in the last